In the dim light of torches, the stone walls of ancient Egypt are covered in mysterious hieroglyphics. Long shadows drift across the temple. Can you imagine? Over 3,000 years ago, a jackal-headed deity stood silently at the end of the judgment hall, holding in his hands the scales that symbolized fate. That was Anubis, the guardian of the ancient Egyptian path of the dead. He gazed upon your heart, placed on one side of the scales, opposite the feather of truth. If your heart is heavier than the feather, you will be cast into oblivion. If it is lighter, you will enter the plains of eternity. Sounds like a myth. But when you make a crucial decision today, whether to resign, confess your love, give up, or persevere, are you truly acting entirely on your own? Or is there an ancient force still subconsciously weighing your heart? Anubis is more than a statue from the past. He represents an invisible order we have inherited, an inner court buried deep within our culture and collective memory. If you've been feeling indecisive lately, as if weighed by an invisible scale, then read on. We'll delve into the judgment ritual of Anubis, exploring the authentic images from the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead and the psychological pitfalls of modern decision-making. Together we'll uncover the question: is the jackal-headed god still quietly guiding your every choice? 2. Anubis and the weighing of the heart. A recurring scene in ancient Egyptian funeral paintings is the weighing of the heart ritual. The deceased's soul is ushered into a magnificent judgment hall, towering stone pillars, gold-leaf lotus capitals, and walls covered in mute chanting. In the center stands a unique scale. The left side holds the deceased's heart, and the right side holds a white feather, the ma'at, symbolizing truth, order, and cosmic balance. Presiding over this ritual is Anubis, a jackal-headed human figure. Unlike the familiar god of death, Anubis does not come to reap souls. He is the embodiment of order and protection. He gently held the crossbar of the scales, his ears perked as he gazed at the heart resting on the tray. No one could lie before him, for in Egyptian belief, the heart was not a blood pump, but a culmination of memory, will, and character, a true archive of the soul. If the heart was heavier than the feather, it meant the individual was burdened with lies, sins, and unresolved obsessions, destined to be devoured by the monster Amit. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul received a verdict of righteousness, passing into the eternal reed fields to join its ancestors. This moment was not only a judgment after death, but also a summary of one's entire life. Reading these murals today, our hearts tighten. The scales belong not only to the deceased, but also to our own hearts. Anubis hasn't gone far, and his scales haven't vanished. They've become our inner moral compass, a reminder at crucial moments. Is this important? Is it worth it? Should I do it? Through the Book of the Dead and the symbolism of the Feather of Truth, you've surely seen those colorful papyrus paintings. A row of hieroglyphs, a list of gods, and the most striking feature, the feather standing upright on a tray. This isn't just a casual decoration. It represents one of ancient Egypt's most profound concepts. Mayat not only means truth, but also represents order, balance, and cosmic law. The Egyptians believed that the entire world operated because Mayat maintained order between heaven and earth, between gods and humans. If Ma'at were destroyed, chaos would descend. The Nile would cease to flood, the stars would lose their orbits, and the soul would lose its home. In the Book of the Dead, Anubis holds the hand of the deceased before a scale, asking them to confront their inner selves. Are your words true? Are your actions upright? Have you ever done something in secret that you dare not even admit. This passage appears to be an interrogation of the deceased, but it actually serves as a reminder to the living. Every choice you make hinges on that feather. In the murals, Anubis's finger always gently touches the scales, as if a single push could reveal the truth. The artist meticulously depicts every strand of the feather, the luster of the scales tray, and the subtle rhythm of a beating heart, allowing us to sense the quiet yet tense atmosphere even after 3,000 years. Today, when we view these images, we no longer perceive them as religious mysteries, but as psychological reminders. When we are about to make a decision, a scale appears in our minds. One end is our desire, the other is our belief in truth. If our desires are too strong, the scale tilts, and our heart becomes burdened. If we follow our conscience, our heart becomes light, and the scale returns to balance. This is the power of Ma'at. It's not an external punishment, but an internal calibration mechanism. The Egyptians depicted it and incorporated it into rituals, allowing everyone to see this power and feel its weight. In today's context, this feather is like your values. Before every major decision, a voice asks you, does it align with your principles? Does it bring peace of mind in that moment? You become your own inner Anubis, your fingers gently touching the scales that belong to you. From myth to psychology, the Anubis within. As in ancient Egypt, Anubis was a deity. Today, he's more of a symbol, the invisible judge within us. Psychologist Carl Jung once said that ancient gods are projections of humanity's collective subconscious. In other words, the Anubis we see in murals isn't some external entity, but rather the ancient Egyptians' figurative representation of their inner judgment, morality, and guilt. If you pause and recall, when you make an important decision, do you hear two voices like these? One voice says, just follow your desires, quickly, without hesitation. The other voice is soft but powerful. Stop and consider whether this is worth it, whether it aligns with your conscience. That second voice is your Anubis. The ancient Egyptians used the ritual of weighing the heart to externalize this psychological experience. Your heart trembles on a scale. A feather waits quietly on the other end. If your heart is too heavy, the scale tilts, and your soul is punished. If your heart is as light as a feather, your soul is free. Today, we no longer have to wait for judgment after death. In modern society, judgments occur every day. In office decisions, in the hesitations of intimate relationships, in the balance between money and morality. Every choice is a weighing of the heart. When you look at the scales depicted in ancient murals, you are actually looking at yourself. On one end are immediate interests, on the other are long-term values. On one end are impulses, on the other are principles. You appear to be playing a game with others, but in reality, you're playing a game with your own heart. This is why Anubis is often depicted as half-human, half-beast. He embodies both humanity and instinct. When he stands beside the scales, you sense a gentle yet resolute force. Not a furious punishment, but a calm order, like an invisible hand, steadying your emotions and allowing you to see your true weight. This is the modern significance of Anubis. He reminds us that any seemingly external judgment ultimately originates from the inner scale. The legacy of Anubis, from judgment after death to modern awakening. You carefully read the Book of the Dead, you'll discover a detail. Before entering the judgment hall, the deceased must recite the 42 negatives. I have not lied. I have not stolen. I have not killed. With each recitation, the heart becomes lighter, and the negative energy of the soul is cleared. To modern ears, this sounds very much like an ancient mental cleansing process. When you reflect on yourself before bed every night, have I told a lie today? Did you do something wrong today? That intertwined feeling of shame and relief is the process of weighing your heart. Perhaps Anubis hasn't vanished. He's simply taken on a new form when you toss and turn at night, feeling a tightness in your chest, a thought flashing through your mind about a wrongdoing. You're experiencing a miniature hall of truth, your subconscious questioning, your conscience answering. Sometimes you convince yourself, sometimes you can't forgive yourself. Sometimes you feel light, sometimes you feel heavy. This is precisely what the ancient Egyptians were trying to teach us. The weight of the soul isn't determined after death, but accumulated bit by bit in daily life. Translating this ancient concept into modern language, it's practically a system of self-regulation, introspection, and behavioral correction. Every confession of denial is a self-examination. Every examination is a weight being lifted, and every weight lifted gives you a better chance to lift the end of your feather. The legacy of Anubis is therefore no longer just murals and statues, but an invisible discipline. Pause before desire. Consider the consequences before taking shortcuts. Consult your heart before making decisions. This sounds simple, but few truly practice it. This is because it requires you to be able to make choices even when no one is watching, yet remain light even when weighed. The ancients projected this power into a deity. We can view it as a kind of awakening. When you realize that every choice has weight, you will no longer be blinded by the small gains of the moment. When you recognize the inner Anubis, you can maintain your balance amidst chaos. Chapter 6. Strange Echoes of Modern Science. Do you think Anubis's scales are just murals and myths? Similar weighings are being conducted in 21st century laboratories. In the early 20th century, Dr. McDougall documented that at the moment of death, a person's weight suddenly drops by 21 grams. Although this was later discredited, scientists around the world continue to repeatedly measure post-mortem weight. The values and experimental conditions vary, but one curious phenomenon remains. At the moment of death, something leaves the body. This resonates strikingly with ancient Egyptian beliefs. They firmly believed that the soul has a real mass, and that actions can increase its weight. Modern people often scoff at these experiments. But imagine this: as you lie in a hospital bed, taking your last breath, the number on the scale suddenly drops a few grams. What could that be? Your consciousness, your memories, or perhaps your heart? If heart weighing truly existed, it would no longer be myth, but a forgotten science. What would it mean? This means that every lie, every indifference, every betrayal leaves a mark on your energy body. Every kindness, every honest act loses weight. Anubis's feather isn't a metaphor, it's a law inscribed in the cosmic order. Chapter 7. The Hidden Psychological Judgment System. You may feel this is far away, but look back at your own life. After making a choice, you experience a tightness in your chest and insomnia. You constantly feel guilty or burdened when facing someone. You find it difficult to forgive yourself for certain actions, feeling a constant weight weighing on your chest. Psychologists call this guilt or moral burden. The ancient Egyptians even depicted it in a mural. A heart weighed on a scale. Different cultures and eras depict the same thing: humanity's inner judgment. Do you believe free choice is truly free? Psychological research shows that many people subconsciously weigh decisions before making them. Will this decision make me feel heavy or light? This is the feather of truth in the heart of modern people. It's not the gods forcing you, but your heart becoming Anubis-like. Dear audience, are you willing to face the judgment hall within you? When no one knows, your little actions, thoughts, and secrets accumulate. Wait. One day, this weight will feel like a stone, suffocating you. This isn't a punishment, but a mechanism. Chapter 8. Anubis's Revelation. How to Lighten Your Heart. The ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead contains a recurring phrase. Let my heart be lighter than a feather, so that my soul may pass. This isn't a spell, but a way of life. We today can also learn 3 things. Clear away lies. Every deception, every betrayal is a weight. Clear away these and your heart will naturally lighten. Conform to order. Mayat represents the order of the universe. Failure to conform will lead to crushing. The ancients emphasized truth and order not as a moral sermon, but as a law of survival. 3. Take weight loss actions. Kindness, honesty, generosity, and forgiveness. These are called virtues in religion, but from the perspective of the soul, they are all weight loss exercises. In other words, Anubis isn't trying to scare you, but rather reminding you, you can choose to make your heart lighter. If you lose enough weight in life, you won't have to fear that moment after death. Chapter 9. From myth to the present. Do you dare to put your heart on the scales? Imagine a scene. You close your eyes and suddenly find yourself standing in a vast stone hall. 42 gods silently watch you. Thoth records, and Anubis places your heart on the scales. The feather falls gently, almost weightlessly. Your heart, on the other side, slowly sinks. A chill runs down your spine. At this moment, you truly see yourself. Is this just a myth, or did someone, over 3,000 years ago, depict the mechanisms of the universe through symbolism, a reminder for future generations? We laugh about the Book of the Dead and Mummy in front of our screens, thinking of them as distant stories. But when you close your eyes in the stillness of the night, isn't that stone at your heart the moment of your weighing? If death isn't nothingness, but the entrance to a judgment system, do you dare to face it? Can your heart be lighter than a feather? The judgment of Anubis is more than just an ancient Egyptian legend. It may be humanity's earliest warning and guide. Every choice in life weighs on the soul. Don't wait until death to be surprised. Now is the moment of your weighing. Leave a message and tell me, do you dare to place your heart on that scale right now? Summary. Implied call to action. This copy isn't meant to scare you, but to offer you a mirror. The judgment of Anubis isn't a thing of the past. It's an inner ritual that everyone is living right now. Every moment, every choice is a battle between the feather and the heart. And you can start today to lighten it. The lighter you become, the closer your heart will become to the weight of a feather.